Hello, everyone. Welcome to our leadership series in February. Latha Krishnaiyer, our legislative chair, will be presenting on advocacy. She is a former Broward County PTA president and also a former Florida PTA president. And right now she is the legislative chair for Broward County Council PTSA. Hello, Latha.
Hello, Sharon.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to, I know I'm screen sharing. Oh, slideshow.
That should work.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, there you go.
Is it working?
No, not yet. It's SharePoint.
Show slides. I have to click all the buttons.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us this evening. I'm going to talk about advocacy today, and I'll start with PTA's mission, which makes it possible for us to be the child advocates that we are. PTA's mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. And we have been doing it next week for 126 years. We'll be 126 years old next week on February 17. So that is our mission. And following the mission, before the mission, we go to PTA's purpose. And this purpose was put in place by our founders. And it is the PTA's purpose number 3, to secure adequate laws for the care and protection of children and youth. That's why we advocate, because our founders found it necessary that a voice was needed for these children that had no voice, and no one was advocating for them, children that were not in school at the time and were in child labor working for their families. So that's why we started advocating, and that's why PTA was started. Okay, we are the largest volunteer child advocacy organization in this nation. We are the conscience of the country for children and youth issues. When you think of children and public education and who fights for them, it's PTA. You're all doing it in your schools. And then we have us at the county council level fighting for all of the children in the district. And then we go on to the state and national level. But as a PTA and as a national PTA, we have been influential in establishing programs and legislation that improves all our children's lives. We were part of the group that advocated for creation of kindergarten classes. Child labor laws, that was one of the first things our founders did, that child labor laws put in place so that children did not go to work at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Public health service, lunch programs. Even today, nutrition is a large part of our platform. And even to this day, we fight for nutritious, hot, and healthy lunches in schools and for all children. Juvenile justice, immunization. PTA was very crucial, and they were a part of going house to house and reassuring parents that the polio vaccine was safe. And PTA participated in that. They were a large part of that event when it happened. Arts and education, think reflections. We still do reflections. We still encourage the arts. And school safety is something that we are fighting for every day. Another priority, not only in Broward and the state, but nationwide. Okay. Well, what is advocacy really? A lot of people shy away from advocacy or legislation. but it is simple. It's to speak for those who have no voice or representation, like our children. If you're an effective advocate, we can, through our advocacy, create a shift in public opinion, money, and other resources to support an issue, policy, or a constituency. How does that work? How do we create a shift in public opinion? We can do that by op-eds, by going and speaking at events, and letting the community know what the children need. Money, that's for the legislature, or at the school board, or county, or city level, we advocate for funds for public education and other resources that would improve our programs, improve all of the things that our children get. So advocacy, with an end view to achieving legislation, should be an integral part of every PTA. You may ask, what do we as a local unit, what can we do? You can do it at your school. You can do it in your city. I mean, you may need a stop sign somewhere or a traffic light, or you don't want a 7-Eleven or a store that will create more traffic built near the school. You can raise your voices and fight for all of that at your city level. Nothing is more effective than a well-informed, well-educated, and a voice, unified voice where all of you speak as one. That is why we call our tagline as every child, one voice. Okay. Why do we advocate? Oh, you may be familiar with this, but we know, we are looking at Tallahassee right now, passing policies and laws that we know are not effective or good for children. That is why we advocate, because it's often developed by the legislators without input from the public or the community, the education community, parents, teachers, students. They don't hear from us, and they don't often know what the effect will be when they develop this policy or this piece of legislation. And it is not always good for our children. So that is why we advocate. They have not, most legislators at this point have frequently have little or no knowledge of public education, maybe because they didn't go to a public school or their children are not in public school, but they are not aware of all of the complications and all of the needs of public schools. That is why we as PTA, especially all of you local units, because you are in the trenches, you're in your schools every day. You see the students and teachers every day, and you know what your school needs, the school next door to you needs, and you are the voice that should speak up for this. That's why we advocate. Okay. Okay, you represent the grassroots. Very important. If you go up to Tallahassee or even to Washington, D.C., what do you see? Even at the school board or your city council, you see paid lobbyists hired by companies to represent their issues. But no, you're not paid. You go do it because you're passionate about children. You care about children. You're not paid to do this, and that is the most powerful voice. It is always good to know that you are doing it because you care. And that comes through when you go speak to policymakers. It comes through because you're not being paid to do this. You do it because you know it's the right thing to do. Also, remember that the policymakers that you go to visit come from your own community. So they need to know what's going on in your community and listen and represent your community well. And if you bring an issue to them, they should pay attention to that issue. So do not forget that your legislators live in your community and have to be made aware of what is going on in your community. Now, how do you do this at the local level? It is always good for a local unit to appoint a legislative chair, call them advocacy chair if it's more comfortable, and give that person a committee because no one can work alone. And that person, that committee can look around and see what needs are there in the school. But that's not the only thing they can do, not just for their school. That is the beauty of PTA. We look at our school, but we go beyond that. We fight for all of the schools. We fight for all of the children, starting with Broward, starting with your city, starting with Broward, then going on to the state and national. So that committee can look at the needs and decide if there is something that you need to advocate for. And the other thing that committee can do is look at the state and national PTA, look at our positions, look at our issues, and get familiar with them. And state and national PTA send alerts. So does Broward. So when those alerts get to you, you share that information with that committee. As a president, the president gets it. So if you're a legislative chair or you're another member of your PTA, please ask your president what information has come from the Florida PTA or the Broward County Council of PTA or national PTA, alerts when we need to speak up, information on issues. Florida PTA just sent a piece on the bill that has been filed to allow people to carry guns without a permit. And that is very, very troubling because we care about children and we don't want children put in danger. So they just sent a statement out, a very well thought out statement, and you can share that with not only your legislative committee, but also with all of your members. Speak to your members when you have meetings that they need to speak up. They need to speak up at your school. They need to speak up, listen to what you send them, and they need to get involved. So make sure that your members know what is coming. Then you get to know the issues. PTA's platform is there for all to see. And how do we get this platform? At the state and the national level, we adopt resolutions at our conventions. In other words, at our annual general meeting. At that meeting, all of the membership that's present votes for these issues. So these issues are voted on by our membership. It's not something that is written by the board and adopted by the board or adopted by a few people. It's adopted by the delegates at convention. And also these issues come to state and national PTA from you. You can submit an issue. Your PTA can submit it, state PTAs submit it to national, not only state PTAs, council PTAs and local PTAs can submit to national. So this is something that you, the membership, have decided is important for us to address for children, and you send it to us, and it is adopted by you. Look at our positions, see if we support or oppose a position. That'll be there right on the website. There'll be talking points on the website about how to talk about this issue, and issue briefs, which are similar to talking points. If you have any questions, look at, you double check. You can call us here at County Council, you can call the state, or you can call National PTA for further information. Next, you communicate with your policymakers. I know that sounds intimidating sometimes, but you first get to know who your policymaker is. And for that, go to the website or look at your voting card. You have your voter registration card. Look at it and see what district you're in and click on and see who your representative is. County Commission, school board representative, the House of Representatives at the state, the Senate, the Florida Senate, and of course, the US House of Representatives. As we all know, the whole state has 2 US senators, so that is common to all of us. But otherwise, each district has their own policymaker. How do you communicate with them? You could do emails. That is very, very simple. Most of them have on their website, contact us. So you can click on that and contact them with your issue and ask for an appointment or ask for some information on the issue. You can call their office, talk to their assistants, and get to know those assistants, and let the assistant know, the legislative aide know what the issue is, and that you'd like to speak to the representative or senator. And in-person letters, I mean, letters are still there, but there's still a mechanism, but they answer less and less of them. So emails, phone calls, or in-person visits. Most of the legislators are in their home district when Congress is not in session or the legislature is not in session. At that time, you can make an appointment and go visit them. Now, I suppose, Sharon, we should add Zoom calls, because that we've been doing as a county council, we've been doing a lot of Zoom calls because it's easier than going in person. We had a large county, and I understand that, and county council has to cover every legislator in the county. So we are doing a lot of Zoom calls. So that is one thing you can do also.
100%.
Mm-hmm. When you get in touch with your policymaker, first of all, let them know who you are. Identify yourself. You're calling on behalf of PTA, your school, and your PTA. Before you make that call, know the facts. And again, we can help you. You can talk to us and we can provide you with some points. We can provide you with the position that National PTA has. And, often if you look at a resolution, the resolution itself will have whereases that give you the reason for the resolution. And those are points that you can use. Always keep your message very short and simple. Just get to the point very nicely and keep it simple. Don't complicate issues. And be yourself. Don't need to be nervous. They live in your community. They were elected by you, and they would need to listen to you. So be yourself. And always thank the legislator. Do not hesitate to thank them, because that's important. They have given some of their time to you. So you do have to thank them, and always be polite. Even if they don't agree with you, that's okay. Just say that you're sorry that we're not, on the same side or seeing it the same way, but we hope to give you some more information and keep working with you, if not on this issue, on other issues that may come along. So always thank the legislator and leave with a positive tone. And when you meet with decision makers, the first bullet is the most important. Get to know their staff. The staff often know the bill better than the policymaker. Very often they know the issue. Of course, at the state level, they only have one aide, or the Senate has two aides. But get to know them, because they answer the phone. So once they know you, it's easier to get them to return your call, or let the policymaker know that you called and that you are someone that is in the community, that you are PTA, that you work on behalf of children, your advocacy is for children, and they'll make it a point to let the legislator know that it's important to get an answer back to you or work with you. You can always invite the policymaker or a member of their staff to the school. If you have a situation in your school that you want solved, and this goes not only to someone at the state level or national level, but also your school board members, invite them. You look up who your school board member is, and always there are two district-wide members. And those two district-wide members represent all the schools in Broward County. So get them to come to the school to see what the issue is. Your first contact, if it's a school issue, is with the school board. Often you can solve it at that level. But if it needs, if the school board member says we need a law, then that's when you go one step further and start looking at the state. Always have some positive feedback. Whether if they helped you, of course, thank them. Send them a letter, send them a certificate. Or if you're a policymaker, if it's not an issue that we worked with them on, but PTA worked Broward County Council PTA or state PTA worked with them on, and you see that they worked with PTA to get that issue passed or voted yes, even if it doesn't pass, thank them. If you are aware of the situation, always call them and say, I see that you voted yes on this bill. Thank you very much. Or if it's vouchers, we ask our policymakers to vote no. So if your policymaker voted no on voucher bills, be sure to thank them for their support of public education. And what we really want is a positive relationship, because we want to keep working with these legislators. We want to continue the conversation and work with them on all issues. Okay. And you need to get PTA's message out. Of course, we have social media now, so it's very easy. Always, when you're talking with policymakers, with the media, with reporters, if there's a school issue, then they call you, or anybody, your membership, stay with PTA's positions. We do not talk about things. We are nonprofit, we are nonpartisan, so we are right down the middle. We're neutral. We don't get into politics. We don't get into parties. We stay with the PTA positions. And it won't hurt you to just read the position out aloud. That's all. Stick with that position, the exact wording, and be totally nonpartisan in your message. Do not give your personal opinion. And when you go to visit policymakers, you're going to visit them as PTA. If you go to visit them as you, an individual, that's a different matter. But when you go for PTA, be sure that you stick with issues, do not talk politics, be totally down the middle, nonpartisan, and stick with PTA's positions. Okay, I think this roll sent. Shall we go roll it all in?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. These are ways that you can be involved. I wanted the first one because it's the most important. If you're not registered to vote, please register to vote and vote. Before you vote, look up that person's positions. Look at the League of Women Voters, which is a nonpartisan organization that outlines the issues that each legislator is supporting or opposing. So look at that. See if they're children friendly or public education friendly. You can always sign up for PTA Takes Action Network. This is National PTA. It says pta.org/takes action. If you sign up there, when they send alerts, it'll come directly to you. And it's very simple, because with one click, when you get an alert, it'll take you directly to your legislator. And there's a sample message there. You can use the sample message, or you can construct your own message. Become familiar with, I said this at the beginning, but I like to repeat it because it is so important to be familiar with the state PTA legislative priorities and the federal PTA, national PTA legislative priorities. The national PTA just issued its priorities, a public policy brochure, and that you will find on their website, on National PTA's website, pta.org. Look for it under advocacy, under public policy, and download it. It's a PDF document. When asked through either the National PTA or State PTA or Broward County Council, please write letters and make phone calls to elected officials on the issues. Our legislative session starts in a month. And as things move, we may sometimes send you alerts. Florida PTA may send you alerts. Please respond to those alerts and distribute it to your membership. More voices, more effective. So make sure that your membership is aware of the issues and send it out to them. Again, meet with elected officials and decision makers whenever you have time, or and even if there isn't an issue, introduce them, yourselves to them and let them know that your PTA you're there, you're working for children. And make these visits at every level, local, state, or federal. And you can take other parents with you, join with other advocacy groups like the League of Women Voters that PTA works with very closely, and others.
Yep.
Next one. Okay. These are some of the bills that are proposed. The first bill for this session, starting March 7th, School Choice and Innovation Subcommittee. It's CS stands for Committee Substitute because the committee has adopted that bill as its own. HB1, that's House Bill 1. And that is a voucher bill that opens up vouchers to everybody, regardless of income level. This is a very dangerous bill for public schools because the school choice or scholarships, as they were called, initially was started to help people at a low income level. Now, opening it up will not only allow students already in private school to get the money, but other students to leave our public schools and maybe go to private schools that are not accredited, that don't have certified teachers. Because as you know, there's good schools and there's bad schools, and a lot of the very best private schools will not, this scholarship will not accommodate the amount that they need. So they will go to other schools that may not be as good. So that's one thing we are keeping an eye on. We oppose this bill, and we'll be asking you to write in opposition to the bill when it comes up. It did pass the first committee, and it's going to go on. Then there's one on individual education plans, which is for ESC students. That's been filed 2 or 3 times in a row, and we'll see if it goes through this year. Required instruction in public schools is about social media. Sometimes the title doesn't really let you know what it is. So you have to look at the bill and see what it says. This one is about social media and instructions on how to use social media. SJR 94, the partisan election of members of district school boards, we have a position where we want our school board members to be nonpartisan, only because they deal with children and the welfare of children. So it is better not to bring politics into it. HB 223 and its companion bill in the House 290, they're identical bills. And that's filed. The House bill is filed by our own Robin Bartleman, who was our school board member and is now in the State House. And Senator Chevron Jones, that was also a part of Broward until this redistricting. He's just over the border into Miami. So they have filed a bill about student progression for students with disabilities. The school nutrition program requirements are very important, very interesting, but we don't know how far they'll go. So I just put it in because nutrition is important for us. But right now, it may not move anywhere. HB 379, student use of media platforms, is very similar to the required instruction in public schools. Right there, SB 52, they deal with social media. HB 411, it's all about school board elections. Now, when you go to the one that I just talked about, SGR 94, it's Senate joint resolution because they cannot change this. It's in the Constitution that it's nonpartisan. So to change that, they have to pass it in the legislature and then bring it to us in 2024 at the 2024 election. And it has to pass with a 60% majority to make it happen. So this HB 411 is not a constitutional change, but it's just a bill. Again, I put anti-drug instruction in public schools. So we are not, we'll watch it. And it's also, something about, drug usage. And I don't know how far it'll go. Well, HB 543 is the bill that I talked about earlier. about concealed carry of weapons and firearms without a license, which we think will not be conducive for our children's safety. And therefore, we are opposing that. So HB1, school choice, and 543, we are definitely opposing. And we'll see, it seems like both bills will pass. They have the votes to pass. And the Senate has just revealed its bill a couple of days ago, and I didn't get a chance to put it on. It's different from the House bill. So as you may know or may not know, the bills have to be identical. If the Senate passes a bill and sends it to the House has to pass it exactly like it is. If they change it in any way, it goes back to the Senate. And the Senate has to accept that change. If they don't, and they strip the change, it goes back and forth. The bills that are eventually passed and signed into law have to be identical wording in both houses. Then required African-American instruction, that has also been filed every year, and we'll see how it goes. There is another bill that was just filed by, and I bring it to your attention because it's a very good bill. It's filed by Representative Dan Daly of Broward, and it is filed on behalf of the students of MacArthur High School. And that bill, I think it's 585. The students came up with this proposal, want instructions on how to prevent a student from choking, posters posted everywhere so that they can help students that may be choking. So that's a bill we'll be watching with interest and hope someone in the Senate picks it up, because of course we want our students' voices heard. And we are very proud that MacArthur High students came up with this idea for a bill.
Fantastic.
Yeah. These are some of your URLs that you go to. As you know, this is the school board site. We have 9 school board members. 2 are countywide. So essentially, every one of us gets 3 members. You vote for your own district member, and you vote for the 2 countywide members. If you're interested, you can view all of the school board meetings at that on that site, or at I think usually 4 o'clock on the day of a school board meeting. It's shown on WBC, which is Beacon TV, and I don't know what channel it is on your TVs, but on Direct TV, I believe it's 63. And to check with them for the meeting times and the agenda that they will be discussing, that's the URL for that. As we are recording this, and this will be posted, you will have an opportunity to write these URLs down and go to them.
Beacon TV has their own website too. You
Right.
can click on and stream it from Beacon TV itself.
Absolutely. These are officials that you have to get to know as you advocate, because they also have a say often in what goes on in our schools and our children. So the Broward County Commission, of course, you vote for one commissioner, but they represent all of Broward. I think there are also 9 commissioners. Your mayor, city commission, and other officials. And you also check. Most cities have an education committee, and you may wish to join that education committee and use your voice and your knowledge of public schools to speak to them about what's happening in schools in that city. And of course, for all of this information about your city, check your city website for the information. This is the Broward Legislative Delegation. If you go to this site, you will find out who your legislator is. They have a list of the legislators that represent Broward, and you can find your legislator, their contact information, and their aides. And that'll make it easy for you to contact them when you need to. And for the Florida legislature, same thing. Go to the Florida legislature, and you can find your representative. You can watch legislative meetings and look at the bills that have been filed. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not, because it's Dr. Seuss. And he said it right, because all our voices need to be heard. And we care as PTA members, we care an awful lot for children and their welfare and their education. That is why it is so important for PTA members to speak up on behalf of children on the issues we support or oppose according to the positions we have established. So I hope you will all join us and work with us on all of these issues. These are some resources that you can access and get information on legislation, on our positions, and everything else. Of course, also the Broward County Schools Legislative Resource page will tell you what Broward County is working on. And tomorrow, I believe the school board is going to work on their legislative platform for the state and national platform. So you can look that up on that. If you want to watch the committee meetings and the legislature in action, this is where you go. And you just go to the website, the Florida legislature website. And if you go to the Senate or the House, on that day, they will have a list and say, click to view the committee, click to view. And that's an easy way of doing it. You just go to the Online Sunshine website and the legislature and check which committee is meeting. If the education committee is meeting, you might want to watch that. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, please email us legislation@browardptsa.org.
Yes, please do. Thank you, Latha. I just want to add on to that as a PTA local unit president myself. Generally, when the bills start coming up, or if I find there's something that's more important to our school than maybe some of the others, I always like to share those at a general meeting and let them know, like, this is one of the things that's coming up and we need everybody to pay attention to calls for action and things like that. So it kind of brings that awareness all the time, not just looking for an email, but if that we speak about it at our general meetings, that this is what we're here for. Our main issue, our main purpose is to advocate for our children and families in our schools. So we want to keep it top of mind, even at our general meetings, right? We need to get to do our business, but our business is also making sure we're informed and aware. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I feel like it's a step that's missed oftentimes. Thank you, Latha, for your time and this fantastic presentation. This will be available on Zoom.